This is what's great about sports. This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game. Hello?
Moving on, we have the Steelers. Shout out to our guy, Big Mo, Logan Moriali. Steelers coming in second for the 12-01 Monday, guys. Jake, what does Vegas think of the Steelers this year?
Right now, Vegas has the Pittsburgh Steelers at a 9.5 win total.
Good God.
In the upper echelon, second in their division. So basically, Vegas aligns with the way we see the division from a consensus standpoint. And it kind of makes sense. They do have, I'd easily say, a top 3 defense. I'd have to do a little more.
Yeah.
I'd have to do a little more research before crowning them as the top defense. They're up there with San Francisco, though. Like, give me a defense to start a team with. It's San Francisco and Pittsburgh that I'm choosing out of because they are incredibly loaded from top to bottom, and they're getting their quarterback back.
That is true. They're not having to go out there with Mason Rudolph or Devin Duck or whatever. What was that quarterback's name?
Devlin Hodges.
Devlin Hodges. But he calls himself Duck Hodges, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, any guy that calls himself Duck, anyway.
And he's throwing footballs. That's not a good combo.
Exactly. You got Mason Rudolph trying to pick fights with Myles Garrett, and then you got a guy called Duck Hodges on your team. Not a very good backup situation there for the Steelers. But they are getting Big Ben back, which is pretty exciting. You got to imagine, when is Big Ben ever going to retire? Like, Big Ben is just like, you know what? I'll just keep trucking along because I'm big. The Steelers won't draft another quarterback. I'm just going to keep on being me. And he's getting by. But who are their weapons on the outside besides Juju?
So besides Juju, they do have James Washington. He was one of their outside guys. However, Deontay Johnson really came on last year. He was a third-round pick. In his rookie year, he really balled out as their second receiver. That was without Ben, though. So it's kind of up in the air in terms of fantasy. What you'll see a lot of on fantasy Twitter is a lot of love for Deontay Johnson. And we'll talk about it a little more in the fantasy segment.
Yeah, and it's hard to give me – I guess I'm just not big on the Steelers as everybody else. Yeah, they have a great defense, but I just don't see them having that many weapons. You have Juju Smith-Schuster, who I really like. But other than that, James Washington, he's all right. But the running game with James Conner, I just really can't trust James Conner right now. James Conner had a really good second year, and then this past year, it just was like, falling down. You would think he would get a few more touches with Big Ben being out. But, man, I don't know. I guess I'm just not as high on the Steelers as everybody else is. I do like their defense. But in this league, especially in the AFC North, you got to be able to score.
It'll be really interesting to see how Ben comes back from the arm surgery, because if he's there and he's a legitimate threat, I think it opens up everything. It's really hard to produce a really good running game without a top-level quarterback. They do have one of the really, really good offensive lines in the NFL. Left to right, on Alejandro Villanueva, Steven Wisniewski, Marquise Pouncey, and David DeCastro are all really, really talented. That's 4 out of your 5 offensive linemen. And in the NFL, you're going to dominate with that. I do agree with the lack of weapons. It kind of reminds me of the Packers in that way, like really good quarterback towards the end of his career, questionable weapons on the outside. But I think it's going to be enough. They did add Eric Ebron. So Eric Ebron and Vance McDonald's are their 2 tight ends now. With that loaded defense, I think they can make some noise.
We'll have to see, man. We'll definitely have to see. I've just – man, when I look at a team, I kind of base it off of their offense. Yeah, their defense can do some stopping, but other than that, it's very questionable. Let's talk about fantasy. Who do the Steelers have to offer fantasy-wise?
So you got to start at the top with Big Ben. He's really discounted right now. He's going as probably like a back-end or mid to back-end quarterback 2, and he's one of my favorite late-round targets because if he does come back healthy, he's going to sling that pill, man. Like, I don't see Big Ben throwing it only like 20 times a game. James Conner, he comes in. He is one of the riskier players in fantasy this year. He's being drafted as like a back-end running back 2. So I guess people are taking into account, his bad last year. He was banged up. If he can stay healthy, James Conner will be one of the steals of the draft, and he'll be a league winner in like round 4, round 5. It's just, are you willing to risk that? Juju, I'm absolutely in love this year, and I know a lot of other people are. He's going to get pounded with targets. He has one of the steepest trajectories of any young wide receiver that there has ever been in the game. Granted, a lot of that production came with Antonio Brown on the other side. Can he step up and be that alpha? That was the question going into last year, and he didn't get that chance with Big Ben only playing the 1 or 2 games. It'll be really interesting to see who steps up as that number 2 role, because Deontay Johnson, again, like I mentioned, fantasy Twitter is in love. It'll be hard to see, does he take up all those targets? Does he have that chemistry with Big Ben? Because Big Ben is kind of like Aaron Rodgers. He's real temperamental with young receivers. But if he can build that rapport with Deontay Johnson, he'll be a consistent flex option that you can get like 7th, 8th round.
It's not bad. May have to steal him from you in our draft coming up pretty soon.